Fantastic. Well, then we will go ahead and get started. First, thanks all for joining us. My name is Neil Buchanan. I'm a renewable energy consultant. And today I'm here to talk about solar for businesses and commercial entities. Right now I'm streaming live from the Iowa Wind and Solar headquarters in Fairfield, Iowa. If you'll bear with me, I'm going to switch tabs so we have something to look at besides me. Well, that's me again, but I have a PowerPoint to go through that'll kind of get us more detail about what we want to talk about. First, though, the Iowa Wind and Solar mission. Our mission here is to be a one-stop solar solution. It simplifies the design, procurement, finance, and installation of solar. In other words, we want to make solar simple. Now, if you have any questions or you want to get in touch with us, here's our contact information. Please reach out after the webinar, either by email. Oh, I'm sorry, we are getting an echo here. All right, quick pause. Is that working better? Anyone? How are we looking for sound? Excellent. Okay. Fantastic. Then I'll get back to it. A quick disclaimer just before we get further into this. This is going to be a broad overview of how solar can help your business and how you can take advantage of the different tax incentives. This should not be taken as legal or tax advice. We're solar experts, not tax experts. If you have specific questions, you'll want to turn to your tax professional for that. So here's an overview of what we are going to talk about. First, I'm just going to go quickly through how solar works, just in case anyone's not familiar. Then we'll look at the different tax incentives. There are both federal and Iowa state tax credits. And then finally, what's unique to commercial businesses is depreciation. And that's where you get an extra layer of value on your solar array. And first, if you hear any background noise, we are actually installing solar on our roof as we speak. So there's guys on the roof with some drills. This is a video we took earlier this morning. So you can see they are working furiously to get all of this up and running. Okay, so let's get into the benefits of solar. First, we're looking at power from day one. When we install your array, as soon as it goes in, you'll flip the switch and you'll see your energy bill drop. Now, for some smaller businesses, that might be 100%. For the larger businesses, maybe we can only offset a portion of that just due to the size of your roof. But as soon as you flip that switch, you'll see immediate savings. Now, there's different metering types that are available throughout Iowa, depending on which utility you're on. With some utilities, they have something called net metering. And what that means is any excess energy you're producing, you push back out onto the grid. And that utility company will credit you at the full retail rate for that energy, and they measure it per watt. So then when the sun goes down and you need to use energy, instead of paying for it, you simply swap out the credits you've accrued, and you get those at the full retail rate that you would otherwise be paying. Some utilities don't use this. They use what's called avoided cost, and that just means they pay you essentially for the bulk rate that it costs them to move the energy from your array back onto the grid. And what this means for you is we simply resize the array to make sure we're not pushing excess energy onto the grid. Either way, you see tremendous savings as you're no longer paying for the energy that you're drawing. You're getting it from the sun for free. Now, what's important to keep in mind here is that solar is not an additional expense on top of what you're already doing. We're simply reallocating funds that are already being spent and putting them towards a long-term asset. You have to pay your electric bill. You can't just, that's not an optional thing to do. So instead of month after month paying that electric bill and seeing the rates fluctuate with whatever the utility company wants to charge, you can reallocate that money, putting it into an investment that you're paying off, which will eventually, those payments will come to an end, at which point you'll have free power for the life of the array. And we warranty our arrays for 25 years. That's start to finish. Everything on them is guaranteed for 25 years, even down to a production guarantee, where we guarantee that year 25, your panels will be producing at least 82% of their original production. And we found that the panels generally last 30 to 40 years. So we're looking at several decades of renewable power just based on these panels. This is great for businesses because this is a hedge, a guarantee against rising or changing electric rates. This makes it much easier for businesses to plan long-term, knowing that in 3 years, the electric bill will not have gone up 10 or 20 or 30%. It will be the exact same based on your load payment. You'll also know that in 3, 4, 5, maybe 6 years, those payments will come to an end. You can plan for that. So if you're spending $1,000 a month right now in electric, you'll know that in 3 to 5 years, you'll have an additional $12,000 to use. And that's great for your bottom line. Now here's where the tax incentives come in, and we're getting above and beyond just saving money on your electric bill. Right now, there are 30% federal tax credit and a 15% Iowa tax credit for all solar installations. This is not a deduction, this is a dollar for dollar reduction of income tax liability. And I've included an example down here. If you have an array that's $100,000, as soon as that's installed, you get $30,000 in federal tax credits and then $15,000 in Iowa tax credits. The federal credits can be rolled forward 20 years and the Iowa can be rolled over 10 years. So even if you don't have $45,000 in a tax burden this year, let's say it's only $10,000, you can then roll over the remaining tax credits for 10 and then 20 years, depending on if it's state or federal. But these will not last forever. So it's important to note that you can get that 30% tax credit today. That will last through 2018 or 2018 and 2019. In 2020, those begin to step down to 26% and then 22%. And then in 2022, the maximum you'll get on the business side is the 10% tax credit. And this is on the federal side. The Iowa is going to stair step down to follow that. It's exactly half of the federal tax credit. Also, I see I'm getting a couple questions here. A few of these you might be able to answer during the presentation. If not, I have a little Q&A at the end, so I'll be happy to get to those in a few moments. Here's the added bonus for businesses, and this is kind of why we're doing the webinar today, so that not every business knows about this or knows how to take advantage of it, and that's depreciation. This is not available to residential customers. This is only for commercial entities. What you're probably familiar with is using a straight line depreciation for most of your firm assets. For solar, you get to use something a little different. This is the modified accelerated cost recovery system. It's called MAKERS. This is an IRS setup where it's a 5-year schedule where you can essentially accelerate the way that you are depreciating your array. And I'll have an example coming up soon. You'll see it's not a linear progression the way a lot of depreciation is. You get to front load it. And this is great for you because this means you get a majority of the tax money back sooner rather than later. And note that this decreases the amount of income that you're taxed. So the higher the tax bracket you are, the greater your savings are going to be. And here's an example. So we'll assume an installation has a gross cost of $40,000, and we'll assume you're in the 35% effective tax rate. Here's what we're looking at for the first year. The year of install, you can depreciate 20% of it. Year 2, you get the big bump, that's 32%. So you can see this is already wildly different than a straight linear depreciation schedule. And then from there, it stair steps down, looking at 19%, and then 11.5, 11.5, and then 5.8. So you can see out of a $40,000 array, you are able to depreciate 85% of the original cost. So we're looking at depreciation on $34,000. And if you've been doing a little bit of math in your head, you'll notice that the federal tax credits are 30%, the state credits are 15%, and then we have depreciation, which is generally another 25 to 30%. So in total, we're looking at close to 75% discount on the upfront cost of the array. So to do a quick recap, remember that this is money you guys have already spent. Rather than spending it month after month in perpetuity on utility bills, spend it on an investment. Spend it on something that you will own in a few short years and will provide you with power for the next 30 to 40 years. And don't forget the tax credits. You can get back nearly half of the original investment just on tax credits. The depreciation, rather than being linear, you're looking at getting a large chunk of this back in the first 2 years. This is something to keep in mind when you're planning ahead for your company's budget for the next 2, 3, 4 years out. You know that you have a certain number of thousands of dollars coming back in sooner than you would otherwise get. For the payback period, it depends on what your energy needs are and what utility company we're working with. We're generally seeing a payback of 3 to 5 years, maybe 6 on the outside. This is something that one of our renewable energy experts can help you answer. If you want to see some more concrete numbers, we'd be happy to sit down and talk to you about it. And what we do is take a look at all your utility bills, take a look at your building and see what your energy needs are and what your building is capable, or your ground array be capable of producing. And then from there, we can get a good calculation of how much you'd be saving, how much tax credits you would get, what you can depreciate, and then how quickly the array will pay for itself. And then remember, this is free power for the life of the array. So in 3 to 5 or 6 years, you'll get 0 utility bills for that portion of your power, and you'll be getting that free power for the next 20 to 30 years. I think I blew through a fair bit of that pretty quickly. I want to make sure I didn't skip anything. But again, we'll go to the comments section here shortly. Again, here's our contact information. If you have any questions, by all means, please reach out to us either by phone or by email. And I think from there, before I talk too much, let's turn it over and look at a couple questions. Okay, and bear with me. I see we have a list of questions. Let me see what I can look at and answer. Okay, so we're addressing the Illinois question. Yes, they do things a little bit different. There are still some good benefits for Illinois. We may do a webinar in the future to address those, but the tax credit issue is strictly for Iowa, and it's going to be a different game over in Illinois. And I see we have a question from PW Fleming. The new tax laws, as far as I know, there are no immediate changes to solar installations. The tax credits are there; they're set in stone. I'm not aware of anyone trying to change those. And then the depreciation is set up pretty much already in stone. They have deadlines for when those are going to stair step down, and I've heard nothing of them trying to change those early. So the timeline that we should be looking at. This coming year, 2018, is really the ideal time to get in. 2019 will also be good, but then keep in mind that once we look out 3, 4, 5 years in the future, you're going to see a pretty substantial diminishing of the tax credits. And that's just, solar will still be great for your business. It'll simply take a little longer for you to break even on. So these next 2 years are really the time to strike before they have time to change any of the laws. And I see a question from Grant C. If I run a business out of my house, can I get all these benefits? Yes. Grant, these benefits are available to any business. You don't have to have a separate business operation. If you are running a commercial business out of your home, then you do qualify for these tax incentives and depreciation. If you have more specific questions on your particular business, be happy to have you get in touch with us, and we can talk to you about it one-on-one in a little more detail than we can do right here. And let's see, do we have any more questions? Another one from PW Fleming: does Trump want to get rid of these tax credits? I can't speculate what Trump wants to do or what he thinks he can do. I've heard nothing of anyone going and retroactively changing the tax laws as it applies to solar energy. So we may not see him extend them any further in the future, but for now, they are safe as they are. And I really can't guess what else Trump wants to do. So I think we've covered all the questions. We'll give it a couple more minutes. If there's anything that I went over too fast or you'd like to hear in more detail, please speak up now. If you don't want to, again, we have our email and our phone number here. You can reach out to us and we can have a one-on-one conversation about what these savings might look like for your business. Okay, one more question from Grant C. The payback period for a business, it's hard to say, so I can't give you firm numbers just over the webinar because so much of it depends on how much power you're using, what your building or your surrounding ground looks like, as well as what utility you're on. All these things make a huge difference. What we found is if you could take advantage of the tax credits and you can properly depreciate the array, your payback is going to be between 3 and 6 years. Is kind of what we've found. But again, please get in touch with us and we can look at your business specifically and get you an exact number of how quickly you're going to hit that break-even point. Okay, tax credit roll-up times. I can actually just back up that slide here. So we get those 30% tax credits this year, we get them next year, and we get them in 2019. After that, they are going to start dropping down. You still get a large portion of it in 2020, but you'll notice it drops significantly after 2021. And in 2022, it will stay at 10%. So you'll still get some discount, or you'll get some tax credit, but not nearly the 30% that you're getting this year and next year. So again, now is the time to get into solar while the benefits are so great. Okay, a question from Nick: can nonprofits take advantage of the tax credits and accelerated depreciation schedule? Nick, no, for nonprofits, it is a little different. If you're not paying taxes, the tax credits aren't going to help you. We do have some interesting financing options and ways that we can make solar work for nonprofits. That tends to be pretty entity specific. So please get in touch with us, give us your name and number, or reach out to us on the contact information. I'd be happy to have a one-on-one conversation with you about how we can make solar work for nonprofits and get around not having those tax credits. I think we have time for maybe one or two more questions if anyone has one. You're very welcome, Grant. Yes, Nick, it might be something like a lease option. And please do follow up with us. We'd love to talk to you about how we can make that work. Okay, I think we will go ahead and wrap this up. If anyone had a question, they didn't ask it, again, you've got our number and email. Please drop us a line. We'd love to answer any questions you have. Okay. All right, thanks, Nick. Again, my name is Neil Buchanan. Thanks for tuning into the Iowa Wind and Solar webinar on solar power for commercial properties. Everyone have a great day, and we'd love to hear from you soon. Thank you.